Okay, so now you look at, so we keep going. So now he's talking about this soul stuff, and then he says, okay, I seek to lose my life, I'm going to find it. I seek to find my life, I'm going to lose it. He's going to reward every man according to his works when he comes back in his glory. I wonder when he's coming back. Okay, so here's where he's going to be coming back.
Maybe next year.
This is his parousia. That's the Greek word for his revelation, for him revealing himself. It's like his coming out party. He's going to really reveal himself in his fullness as to what he's doing. It's going to happen right here, right at the end of day 6, right before day 7. And so now he says, verily I say unto you, this is important because this is what Peter is getting ready to quote. Verily I say unto you, there are some of you standing here which shall not taste of death till you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Unfortunately, we have one of these chapter breaks, chapter 17. It's a good thing just to cross out because this is an unfortunate chapter break, as though when we're preaching a sermon, we finish in verse 28 and say, well, there's some of you standing here who will not taste of death till you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Well, in verse 1, he tells us who it is that's going to see the kingdom. And they're going to see it in a vision. Peter, James, and John. But notice what he's going to do. He waits. Why did he wait? And look at how many days he waits before he takes Peter, James, and John, and he separates all 3 of them. And he takes them up into a high mountain where he's transfigured before them, and they see in a vision Christ coming in his kingdom. Notice in verse 1. And after how many days?
6.
6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After 6 days. After 6 days is which day?
7.
The 7th day. Guess what's going to happen? Yeshua is going to take them up into a high mountain. Who's he going to take? Peter, James, and John. That's why when you read Peter's books, James' books, and John's book, you will find that they never, ever, 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 ever deal with your initial aspect of salvation. I say that one more time. That's why when we read Peter, James, and John, you will find that they never, ever, 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 ever deal with the initial aspect of your salvation. They always focus on the end. Why do they focus on the end? Because they were there. So after 6 days on the 7th day, what happens? Okay? Yeshua takes them up into a high mountain apart. He separates them. This is important. Because there's coming a day of separation, gang. For those who are closely, intimately associated with Christ. See, Peter, James, and John were more so closely associated with Christ than Bartholomew and Matthias and all the other boys. Now, the other boys, were they pretty important? You bet your sweet petunias. But they were not Peter, James, and John. And that's why Peter says, let me tell you guys, grace and peace is multiplied into your life through an intimate knowledge. If you guys have been walking close to Messiah, he would have taken you too up there into the mountain. Okay? All things that pertain to life and godliness come through a mature knowledge of Jesus Christ. Boys, if you knew this, you would be hanging on his coattails. You'd be hanging on to his tzitzits everywhere he goes. You'd be doing everything to just stay as close as you could to the leader as you possibly could. You'd be hanging on every word that he said. You'd be soaking it up. Now, you know what's interesting about the soaking up process? This is called discipleship. And what would end up happening with a disciple is this. A disciple would learn something, and he would imitate his master, and the next day he would go in and imitate it. And then guess what would happen? He would blow it. But then the master would show it to him again, and guess what he would do? He would imitate it, but then there would be times when he'd blow it. So guess what he would do? He would continue to keep learning from the master until eventually it became so much a part of him that he didn't need the tutoring anymore, but now it was written so strongly upon his heart that it was an automatic. This is what Yahweh's doing inside of you and I right now. He just got done dealing with us, and so pay close attention. He just got done dealing with us with some issues in our lives. Did he not at Yom Kippur? So he dealt with these issues inside of your life, and you know what? You know what's right versus what's wrong. How many of you know the difference between right and wrong, but you still continue periodically to do wrong?
All of us.
Good. For the 7 of you that are honest and the rest of you that are asleep, I'll talk to you 7. Okay? You know what? The reality is that you still will continue to do wrong. But what happens when you overcome it and you finally have victory over it? Then you can raise your hands and you can just say, Father, thank you Thank you for being patient and continuing to work with me and bringing honor and glory to you. Because when you overcome that, you will be victorious. That's what you get to look forward to. Okay? So now, here's where he goes on. He continues the story in verse 2. And so Yeshua takes them to a high mountain apart, and he's transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you will, let us make here what?
3 tents.
3 tabernacles. Now it's interesting, or 3 tents, because guess what this is? It's the 7th day. It's the 7th Moedim. And guess what the kingdom is pointing out to? It's pointing to the feast of what? Tabernacles, when all the nations are going to come. So now, but stop and think, because see, some people don't get this. They don't savvy this. So I want to help you savvy this. The savvy is this, is that guess what? Jesus is getting ready, Yeshua is getting ready to die and be crucified at what season of the year? Passover. Passover, okay? Right here. And Passover, you know, Passover, unleavened bread, first fruit, Pentecost, trumpets, atonement, Sukkot. Okay? But yet, these guys, Peter, James, and John, are taken apart into a high mountain, and they're going to be transported 2,000 years in the future when Messiah comes through a vision to Sukkot. It was Peter, James, and John who would not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Because it was only 6 days later, and it was shown to him. Okay? And so now, on the 7th day, Yeshua says, hey, since a day is to the Lord as a 1,000 years, hint, hint, wink, wink, there's something here that I'm trying to tell you. And so Peter says, and he was transfigured before us, and there was Moses, and there was Elijah, and that was like the most cool day in the whole wide world. So we decided that what we do is that, hey, we better build 3 sukkah. Now, what's the only time of the year that you build a sukkah? At Tabernacles at Sukkot. Was it Sukkot at this particular time?
No, so they weren't.
Yeshua was getting ready to be crucified at when? Passover, but he said there would be some of you who would not taste of death till you saw the Son of Man coming in his kingdom, right? So it's interesting, pay close attention for those of you who get easily discouraged. Peter just got done being called Satan. But guess who gets a chance to see him in his kingdom? Peter. So guess what Yeshua is teaching him? Listen, dodo bird, you blew it back here, and you knew you blew it, you stupid bozo. You did what you weren't supposed to do, but I'm not the kind of God who makes the mistake of saying that when you blow it, you're done. Because Peter knew completely that he was going to deny the Lord, didn't he? Because Yeshua said it was going to happen. Even though he said it wasn't going to happen, it happened, didn't it? Just as Yeshua said. But did Yeshua give up on him? No. In fact, Peter was pretty rock and cool. See, Peter used to live his early believing life doing what he wanted to. He saved his own soul. But as he says in John chapter 1, Peter, you know what's going to happen. When you were a young buck, you used to do the things that you wanted to do, but when you get older, another will lead you and will take you in a way that you don't want to go, but you'll go. And you'll say, I'm not even worthy to be crucified like my Lord. Crucify me upside down. I'm not even worthy of being crucified like him. You will come to the point, Peter, where your life means nothing to you and my life means everything to you. That's why Peter does what he does. Now keep going, and Jim, hold your thought for just a second. So now we're still going here in chapter 17. And so now verse 5. While he yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. This is actually a quotation from Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 15 through 18, where Moses says, There's another prophet who is coming after me. You must listen to him. Okay? And so 18, 15 through 18.
18 what?
18, 15 through 18.
Thank you.
Okay, and so then in verse 6, he says, okay, you listen to him, and so listen to him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face, and they were so afraid. I would be too. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Get up, don't be afraid. And when they lifted up their eyes, they saw no man except for Yeshua only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, tell the what?
Vision.
The vision. The vision of what?
The
Of Christ
kingdom.
coming in his kingdom. See, there will be some of you who are standing here who will not taste of death till you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And they saw it in a what? In a vision. They were transported 2,000 years into the future, and they saw it in the kingdom. And you know what's even way cool? And this would really encourage the socks off of me. If I knew that he just got done calling me Satan, and then he took me in a vision 2,000 years and I was there, how happy would I be?
Pretty excited.
Pretty excited.
That's right. I would do the old Toyota commercial. Oh,
What a feeling!
Okay? I'd jump up and down. I would just be ecstatic. Now, with that thought in mind, go back to 2 Peter chapter 1. And let me validate why I hold to 2 Peter chapter 1 and chapter 3 the way that I do. So now Peter is quoting here, and he's telling us this story about, hey, we haven't followed cunningly devised fables that men have written and spoken about in the traditions of men and that kind of stuff. No, we haven't done that at all in verse 16. But we've got this eyewitness of his majesty. We were eyewitnesses. Eyewitnesses what? In a vision of him coming in his glory, where he will reward every man according to his works. So now you're going to understand why Peter gives such a strong warning in 2 Peter, okay, in this entire book as to why to live our lives this way. Because he says, look, I was a guy who denied him. I was a guy who denied him. I was a guy who rejected him. I was a guy who felt so miserable I thought about ending my life. I was a guy who came to a point to where even when I understood the truth, I still denied him. And he said there was something working inside. It kept working and kept working. But you know what? I was there. I can tell you, I could go back and I could quote to you from Isaiah, and I could quote from Jeremiah, and I could quote from Ezekiel, and I could quote from Moses, and I could show you the end from the beginning, Peter would say. But the word of prophecy is only so good. I was there. I have a more sure word of prophecy. I have something more to hang your hat on than just reading the scripture. I was there. And that's what he speaks about in this, and that's why he says, that's why I'm keeping you in remembrance. That's why I'm keeping you in remembrance. That's why I'm keeping you in remembrance. We have, verse 19, a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well, that you take heed as unto a light that shines in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. That's filled with stuff. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. So now, if you pick up in chapter 3, remember I said chapter 2 is like a parenthesis. Remember, 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 remember concerning his coming, that I'm going to keep your remembrance up, keep your remembrance up, keep your remembrance up, keep your remembrance up. Chapter 3. The second epistle, beloved, I'm now writing unto you both, in which I stir up your pure minds by way of what? Remembrance. What's he wanting them to remember? That after 6 days, on the 7th day, he's returning. Okay? And that's why he goes into this, where are the scoffers? The scoffers are saying that nothing's changed from the beginning of the creation until now. And I don't want you to be ignorant of this, brethren, that a day is to the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. Okay? So, I share these things with you to validate, at least in my own opinion, why I hold to the position that I do. And because I hold to this position, now my marriage will never be the same.
Hasn't it been more than 7 days since then?
No, it hasn't. Not 7 24-hour days, 7,000 years. See, the Jewish calendar is off at least by 200 years. Okay? We know this to be a fact. It's like the year 5779 or something like that. I'm not sure what it is exactly. I don't pay any attention to it.
Where they have it?
Yeah, where they have it today.
73.
Is it 5773?
I think we just went into 5773.
Yeah, it's off easily by a couple of 100 years. We know this to be a fact, okay? And there's a reason why it's off, and there's a reason why people are following it, and it's a scheme of the devil. But we're coming close, Jackson, to the end of the 6th day. Okay? We're coming close to the end of a 6,000 year. Okay? Now, my personal opinion, I'm just going to share with you my personal opinion, Yeshua is at least 4 years from return. This is my personal opinion. The reason I say that is because we know we at least have 3.5 years because we haven't seen the abomination of desolation yet. So he's not returning until those 1,260 days are done. And I don't think you're going to see that until next Passover. Actually, I think you're probably going to see that before next Passover, approximately 30 days before next Passover. That's just my thoughts. Okay?
I got a question. Well, I know that it says when we see the abomination of desolation in people in Judea, fleeing the mountains and all that,
Mm-hmm.
are even though we're not over there in the Middle East, are we supposed to be fleeing also to the mountains?
Well, it says the people in Judea, right?
Yeah.
I'd stick with that.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, just take it for what it says. Don't have to overanalyze it, because what we do is we like to overanalyze. But when you see it, see, these are things telling you that you should be looking. And you should be looking, because who knows where you're going to be at that time when that happens.
So, I guess maybe one of the things that you pointed out, that Peter on the mount there, when he says, let's build the 3 tabernacles, I'd kind of always made a reference back to like when the people are laying down the palm branches as Jesus is coming in. They're like, how are they off here other than the fact that they want this so bad that they're not even paying attention to when it really is. They're trying to make it happen rather than looking at what's happening. Not so here. Because you're saying he actually did take them. He wasn't trying to make this happen, trying to make it be the time when he's supposed to come back. He actually did get to see, and so he's actually reacting to, well, I'm seeing it right now. Should we make the sukkahs?
Yeah, what were the people crying out as Yeshua was riding in on a donkey, fulfilling Zechariah chapter 9? Hosanna. Hosanna. What does Hosanna mean? Save now.
Is now the time.
Save now. That's what the people were wanting. Save now. And Yeshua did. He saved now. Not the way they thought, but he saved now. Right?
Right.
That's important. Okay. So, this is foundational for us to do this. Okay? And I think we're at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are we pushing 11? That's the fastest 20 minutes ever.
It rocked. I mean,
Is it 11?
10:38.
Okay, well, we can go for another 20 minutes. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do tomorrow night. Lord willing, Yah willing. We're going to come back and we're going to focus in on this. Okay, and so tomorrow night, what I want to do is I want to explain to you some things on why man was created in the image of God, why he's made in his likeness, and why he gives us those 2 things. Now, I'm going to tell you that here's the focal point of my week, okay, in my thought process. My thought process tonight was to lay out for you this foundational framework, okay? And this is going to be my perspective in which I build it. So at least you'll know if I'm wrong, at least I had a reason for saying what I said. Okay? So is everybody fair with that? If I'm wrong, at least I had a basis for telling you why I'm telling you that. So what we're going to do each night is over the next 2 nights, I'm going to focus in on your life in becoming the bride of Christ. Okay? And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay? I'm going to teach you what I think. I'm also going to teach you how to make your marriage rock. Okay? And to do it in a relationship in a way that, I didn't say it's perfect tonight. I didn't say it would be perfect next week. I said, and this is why I emphasize this to you guys, and I hope you get this stuff. You have to be patient with one another. Okay? So I'm going to tell you how to do this. If you lose sight of what I'm fixing to tell you, you will fail. If you do what I'm fixing to tell you, I promise you, you will succeed. And we have 2 marriages in here that have been going for 49 years.
yay!
Right here. Okay? So I'm going to tell you the secret. Okay? Not the secret of the book or the video.
Thank God.
Okay, done with this. Okay, this is me. I'm going to use personal examples. That's valid. Okay? We are not one flesh. Listen to me carefully. We are not one flesh. What do you mean? I'm not talking about physical intimacy. I'm talking about ehad, one. Okay? Here's what happens. Now I'm going to tell you the secret. This is what we're working for. We're not there yet. And neither are you. And even if you've been 49 years, you're still not there yet. Okay? If this person makes a commitment to this, and this person makes a commitment to this, and they both make a commitment to one another, that they're going to finish the race together, to enter that place together, you will win. If at any time you throw in the big D word, you know what I'm saying, right? Okay? If at any time you throw that gobbledygook,
I said Dallas. It's an old song.
you throw in that stuff and you start thinking that way, you won't make it. I'm just telling you straight up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you. No matter how strong, whether you're single, whether you're divorced, whether you're married, whether you're remarried, wherever you are in that journey, doesn't matter. I'm going to encourage you, and this is what I'm going to encourage you with your spouse tonight. Or if you're single, for you to pray and say, Father, when you provide this woman in my life, or you provide this man in my life, then I pray that you would have my heart so prepared that I'm willing to run and to commit my life with another person to make that goal. Now what I want to show you is this. This looks like you never achieved the goal till here. But I'm going to show you something. Okay? That's the way it can be. Do you understand? Now you got your choice. You can either go through a long, hard process of slow, painful. Or you can say, boy, the sooner we get here, the quicker. But what I want to tell you is, this is probably where you're at. And this is going to require this. It's going to require that. But it's going to require focus. Now, I'm going to change this. All I did was just inserted a different man and a different woman, didn't I? So everything that I share with you is going to be in direct relationship to Yeshua, being his bride, and everything is going to be in direct relationship to you in your relationship with your spouse. Okay?
Because our relationship with our spouse should model the same relationship that we want to have with him.
That's right, which is going to be interesting, because Jim, I'm glad you mentioned in that note. When we go back and we look at the early chapters of Genesis, it's not following God's examples first. It's following the example of the human relationship. So this is going to be important, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to talk about this relationship over the next 2 nights, okay? Which is going to take us, that'll be Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to come and we're going to hit this prophetic stuff. But we can't, I'm telling you, we can't hit the prophetic stuff unless your heart is prepared. And your heart is first going to be prepared with that person who's sitting right next to you. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? This is just my perspective. Okay? It's not Jim and
Oh,
Pearl.
I'm sorry. Me and the Bible, there we go.
You're talking about us, right?
There we go.
Lord,
So even with the bottom weight to be Yeshua and you
That's
get
right.
closer versus
That's
together
exactly right.
versus taking a long, horrible road
That's
to
right.
the kingdom.